Oh, hey, good morning or good afternoon, everybody, depending on which part of Canada that you're in. You're watching Rebel Roundup, our daily news and opinion show. I'm your host, Sheila Gunn Reid, and I'm joined by my regular Thursday co-host, my friend, my colleague, my comrade in arms, Tamara Ugolini. Tamara, how's it going?
Good, thanks, Sheila. How are you doing over there on the west side?
It's okay. It's chilly. It's chilly. We've had snow a couple of days.
Keep it, please.
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost November, so it's very rarely Halloween without snow around these parts. I remember when I was little, like you'd get your like plastic Halloween costume back in the day, and it would always like crack in the cold. Like your little R2D2 costume would crack in the cold. But that's okay. It's fine. We've got lots of things to talk about today, including stuff from a couple of days ago that's still going viral from the Veterans Affairs Committee, and the land grabs are expanding, and I think it's only going to get worse from here. And then, of course, crime rates and what's contributing to those across the country. But first, we'll tell everybody how they can get involved in the show. Maybe, Tamara, you want to do this for once.
Yeah, of course. So if you're watching us, depending on which channel, YouTube, or which platform I should say, YouTube or Rumble, you can contribute to the show by giving us a Rumble rant or a super chat, or after the show, a super thanks on YouTube. And it's a great way to not only show your support for our work and our efforts here at Rebel News, but also take part live in what we're doing on this daily live stream. So a $5 donation or more will read your comment, chat, tip, or trick, especially as we approach Halloween, on air. So if you want to contribute to our discussion, let us know about something top of mind that maybe we don't know about, please do that either on Rumble or on YouTube. And of course, as I mentioned, if you're joining us after the show, you can give us a super thanks thereafter. I think that right off the bat, though, pun intended, the better pun than what was
Mm,
chatted about in our morning meeting this morning.
right.
Right off the bat, the Blue Jays are giving us a very welcome distraction from the crime and disorder plaguing the streets of downtown Toronto under the leadership, lack thereof, of Mayor Olivia Chow. And so they had a great game last night in LA and they won. So it's like 3-2 or two. Did that tie them up? I should probably know these things.
I don't.
Right off the bat, literally again, there was a nice home run. And so for anybody who missed that or was tuning in, it's a proud patriotic moment for Torontonians and for Canadians. But of course, we can't even have that because
No.
in swoops our monarchy, who's supposed to like they're quite literally the Prince of Canada. So Prince William and his wife Meghan Markle were
Oh, Pr
seen.
Prince Harry.
Sorry, Prince Harry. Thank you.
William's the good one.
And yes,
William's the one that I like. William and Kate, I can't wait for those two to be king and queen of Canada and the Commonwealth because they seem to like tradition and they, they're working royals. They work in service of the people and they realize that's their role is to be above politics and sort of always remember where you came from. And then there's Harry.
yeah, Harry, who was spotted at the game last night against the LA Dodgers, with his wife Meghan Markle sporting their LA Dodgers gear,
Right.
wearing their LA Dodgers hats as supposed to be quite literally ambassadors of Canada.
Yeah.
And they're at the game there. Arguably, okay, it's in LA, but still, you're supposed to be a representative of
His dad is the
Canada,
king
the
of
Commonwealth.
Canada.
Yeah, you're the prince of arguably of Canada. And so instead of sporting any of Canadian swag or gear in support of the country of the Commonwealth, there they are with their LA Dodgers hats in full swing. And so they received a lot of harsh criticism for that. I liked this headline here from the Toronto Sun journalist Joe Warmington, who says Prince Harry and Meghan can't dodge royal betrayal to
Right.
Canada and Blue Jays. But the Toronto fans don't mind since the Turncoats have now ushered in the curse of the Sussexes to the World Series.
These two are just honestly, I'm so glad they found each other. Like because they deserve each other. She is just a like on one side she wants to be a princess and we're all supposed to care about that, but also they do none of the good things that Kate does. Like 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 Kate's out there visiting children's hospitals and following all the royal rules and all the royal protocol, not wearing open-toed shoes, like making sure she always has her pantyhose on, as is the case with the rules laid down by Queen Elizabeth II for her successors. And then there's these two. These two ran away from their obligations as part of the royal family. Now they live in LA. We're supposed to care about what they think. We're all supposed to care about how hard done by Harry is. Oh, terrible, terrible. And now they've sort of abandoned any sort of semblance of their obligations as part of the royal family. And I saw that my MP, Garnet Janice, did some
Mm-hmm.
big trolling. Sometimes I hate AI. Most of the time I hate AI, but this is good AI. He posted this photo of Prince Harry's grandma, who
Former
was the
Queen.
who was the Queen of Canada and the Commonwealth, wearing a Blue Jays hat. So top tier trolling, Garnet. It's good.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's a little tidbit. Maybe we should have saved that for our daily dose of cringe, but here we are right off the top, giving a shout out to the Blue Jays and
Yeah, and
their win last night
I
and
feel like
the
I feel
failure of
like
the monarchy.
yeah, I feel like Toronto just needs a break. Like you need something good. And normally I don't cheer for anything Toronto related. As a Westerner, it's against my religion. But Toronto could use some good news, like bad mayor, bad premier, terrible crime, bad traffic, crazy house prices,
Horrible traffic.
and you got your hometown team playing in the World Series, and then you've got members of the royal family betraying you. Oh,
Look,
and Doug Ford also politicizing this and using the World Series as a stunt to completely destroy the trading relationship and trade negotiations ongoing with the Americans, which are no longer ongoing. So I just feel like you needed you guys deserve something. Like it shouldn't all be bad. And it feels like even this is bad.
Ontario needs a break.
You could
That's
use a
for sure.
break.
And the Blue Jays were giving us a nice reprieve. But
Yeah.
we only have one or two games. I think it's just one game left of that. So we'll see. Let's go Blue Jays. I was actually there in 93 when they won the World Series. So twice in a lifetime if it happens. But unfortunately, I won't be actually at the game this many years later. But I remember it. I think I was 5. It was a wild time and the parade was crazy. And so the city has grown exponentially since that time. 32, what is it, 32 years ago, 33 years ago. And so I imagine there will be, sadly, riots in the street where people can't,
For sure.
maintain their composure and be
You know
respectful.
what? That's the thing. Any excuse to riot, I guess.
Yeah.
Let's move ahead to
Mhm.
something that I've been following very closely for the last, well, several years since the introduction of medical assistance in dying. And one, actually two, of the 3 veterans included in our documentary that we made on MAID was testifying at committee Tuesday. I believe it was Tuesday anyway. And I cut a few clips of it, and those clips are still going viral. We had Christine Gauthier testifying at committee. She is the veteran who was denied a stair lift and a proper wheelchair. She's a Paralympian, and not just a Paralympian, dual Paralympian. Did you know that? Sledge hockey and canoeing. Um, and a veteran who is injured during a training exercise and ended up in a wheelchair. Her condition continues to degenerate because she's being denied the things she needs to live her life to its fullest. So she testified at committee, and she testified that the wheelchair that she needs, her partner, who is also an injured veteran, he got it in 3 months and she's been waiting years. And she attributes that to the fact that she spoke out. and he didn't. So she feels like she's being punished. And then Kelsey Sharon, who is a Canadian Armed Forces veteran who suffers from hearing loss, traumatic brain injury, PTSD, and depressive disorder, all related to her deployment. She testified at committee, and she said, and we have the clip for this. I posted it in the bottom of the chat. She knows of at least 20 cases of assisted suicide offers by Veterans Affairs Canada. Now, Sean Casey, who's a Liberal MP on committee, says that he was trying to gaslight these veterans at committee, saying, we only know of one case, that person was transferred out. Then why do we have veterans from different parts of the country with different case managers? This seems to be like it's a systemic wink, wink, nudge, nudge, get these guys off our desk kind of thing. Let's show that clip from Kelsey Sharon, who is in our documentary on medical assistance in dying. She just lit these guys up and down. Her 7-minute statement, we won't have time to show the whole thing. Maybe we'll show a bit of it after this, but it's continues to go viral on social media. But let's show where she points out 20 have come to her alone. And I know other veterans like Mark Meinke who have know the veterans that have come to Kelsey, plus others, and they're scared to come forward because they're worried about being punished like Christine was.
So thank you to all three of you. I think it's fair to say that all three of you told us some things today that probably make everyone here feel uncomfortable. And I don't have to go back over them, but it's for that very reason that we have to pay more attention than ever. This kinds of things we're hearing here today are completely unacceptable, and we have to do something about it. So there's a lot to cover in a short period of time, and I don't even know where to start. But I think what I would like to do is maybe I'll start with you, if I can call you Kelsey. Kelsey, you made some allegations that would be pretty shocking, I think, to most people in this room. They weren't so much to me because I have heard from and of veterans who have been made in the last couple of years as well. Not to the extent that you have, clearly. You mentioned, I think you said that you've heard from 20, personally you've spoken to or know of 20 veterans who have been offered medical assistance in dying by Veterans Affairs. Did I hear that right?
We have 20 with written proof. We have more who have come forward with audio recordings. We have case managers from Veterans Affairs admitting it to me. We also have other individuals who are too afraid to come forward because Veterans Affairs has threatened their benefits. I know this because they've done it to me, so I believe them. And then we also have other individuals who have been offered NDAs and payouts if they were to take it.
Okay. I've heard some of these same things. And it's often the case that people are afraid to speak out because they rely on Veterans Affairs. Even when they can't get all the help they need, there may be something they're receiving, and they're afraid for the loss of that. And I understand that, and that's a problem as well, obviously. Is there anything that you can provide this committee with in terms of something to substantiate some of these things? Obviously, I believe you. But is there something we can do to substantiate those that you could provide this committee that would be helpful for us to be able to take action? Or is it, again, something where people are afraid to be able to have it be public?
People are not just afraid for it to be public. They're afraid for their families, for their careers, and for those that are in the pro-death cult where they come out and speak that they don't want to be killed by MAID. They believe they should have access to proper health care, which every Canadian deserves the right to. So they said that they would speak out only if they went to America, and then they would speak with me if I went to America and interviewed them privately.
Understood.
So you have to go down to our southern neighbor to be able to speak freely.
Yeah. And, if you want to see, I don't think we'll have time, but Kelsey's 7-minute opening statement where she just went up one side of the Liberals and down the other, calling out the minister by name for her failure to even know what's going on in her own department. I did a video of it last week. She doesn't know if her program to hire veterans has ever even hired a single veteran. She doesn't know if her program to help homeless veterans has helped a single veteran, and these programs have been in place for years. And basically she says, well, what do you want me to do? I just got here. Well, I don't know. I don't care, but it's your job. Figure it out. Veterans are homeless, they're unemployed, and they're being offered MAID. And to Kelsey's point, where it's 3 minutes, so we don't need to show it all, but I'm just going to put it in the chat because she says veterans are being intimidated, or maybe not intimidated, but once they speak out, you sort of get shuffled to the bottom of the pile. And that happened to Christine Gauthier, because not only has she still not received compensation for her chairlift because she had to have it put in privately because she couldn't get the Veterans Affairs to do it. Now she's fighting them for compensation, but the wheelchair she needed, she still hasn't gotten, and it's been years. And it's because she went public. She was on Fox News. She testified at committee. She's in our documentary. She spoke to us. And now because of that, she's not getting the help that she needs. So the veterans that Kelsey is speaking to see what's happening to Christine, and they know what happened to Kelsey because Kelsey was threatened too. So they just come forward, they share their stories, but they can't be public. And who could really blame them? Maybe we want to just show a little bit of Christine Gauthier's testimony. You could tell this poor woman is so frustrated with her treatment at the hands of the country that she was willing to fight and die for.
Obviously, with yourself having come out and had the courage to share your experience that you had with having been offered by a couple of different individuals at Veterans Affairs medical assistance in dying when you were actually seeking help in living. I'm sure that because you're publicly known because of that by other veterans. Have you heard from other veterans about them being offered MAID, and would you, I guess, agree with what Kelsey is telling us, that there are many more that are out there?
Unfortunately, my condition, I haven't been out of my house in 5 years.
Understood.
To be frank.
Understood.
Wow.
And I'm not a person that likes computers, and so I'm not on social. It takes me 4 hours to get out of bed. By the time I've done that, trying to go and just wash myself and get to the food and prepare.
Understood, and I would encourage anyone who hasn't heard your story to go back and review your testimony previously about what you went through and what you're continuing to go through with Veterans Affairs. And that's what I wanted to touch on.
I'm just going to cut you for a second, but I can be live proof in front of you that because I have spoken up.
Yes.
Don't tell me that I'm not targeted.
Yeah.
How can you explain that it's been 5 years that I asked for a wheelchair, and I might be getting it in the next week? Yeah. My spouse, it's sad that I'm going to say this here today, and hopefully, or maybe we'll have proof of it again. He has the chair I was supposed to get 5 years ago. He got it in 3 months. How would they? Can you just even explain that?
That's
how is a person that is he doesn't have he's not full-time in the chair, he needs it for long distances, but he got it in 3 months. How is it possible? So do not claim that we're not targeted and we're not pushed to silence, because I have all the paperwork if you want to take the time to go through.
Yeah, that's probably good. That's probably good. So that's exactly why the veterans won't come forward, because she did, and she's been waiting 5 years for a wheelchair. Her spouse got in 3 months, and he doesn't need it as drastically as she does. This is Canada's spiteful government.
Not specific to Veterans Affairs, but I did a report, and I was just trying to dig up the link here. Similar situation happens with medical assistance in dying and the vaccine injury support program in Canada, where if you're not being offered that healthcare and that support that you were promised when you were coerced into taking that injection, the case managers are funneling people into the MAID program, medical assistance in dying. And one person who has been caught in limbo for years, being juggled and passed back and forth from case manager to case manager, trying to get either health assistance or financial assistance for the injury and the debilitation that they've suffered as a result of this injection. They were told by their local MP don't bring this forward, don't go to media, because that could hinder your ability to get your claim moving forward and cause even more delay than what you've already experienced. So the Liberals are well aware that these sorts of things happen. I have that direct email communication. I did a report on it about a year ago, I believe, featuring that email communication specifically and directly, that MPs are advising their constituents not to sound the alarm on any of this, not to come forward, because then that will hinder their ability and access to get care and compensation. It is so disturbing at this point, and it's blatant. It's in your face. The
Yeah.
information's out there.
Yeah. I mean, there should be some sort of whistleblower protection for
Yes.
people to come forward, because they do come forward, they blow the whistle, and then they are punished for it. If they were government bureaucrats, they would have whistleblower protection. But
Yeah.
because they're members of the public trying to blow the whistle on government bureaucrats, they are punished for it. It's just a mess. Speaking of messes, after the ruling by the Supreme Court in British Columbia, ruling that there's Aboriginal title over vast tracts of land already owned by other people for generations and generations, it's coming to other places, when you know it. The First Nation files lawsuit demanding Aboriginal title over lands in Western Canada. Or sorry, Western Quebec. Thank goodness, not Western Canada. An Algonquin First Nation has filed a title claim in Quebec Superior Court over large swaths of territory across the west of the province in an effort to address what it described as historic injustices against its people. Jean-Guy White Duck, chief of the Kitigan Zibi Anishinaabeg First Nation, says his people have a say in the way water, wildlife, and forestry are managed in their traditional territory. Says who? He said that meaningful reconciliation can't exist until that happens. This is what he says. Quebec refuses to recognize that Aboriginal people, traditional people, have any rights outside of reserve territory, except for basically subsistence hunting and fishing. White Duck said in an interview, speaking from the First Nation located on the shores of the Gatineau near Maniwaki. When we talk about title and land ownership and having a say in the management of resources, there is no say. And the claim covers 8 areas, including islands in the Ottawa River, Gatineau Park, and adjoining lands in the city of Gatineau, 2 harvesting zones in the Gatineau Regional County, Papineau-Labelle Wildlife Preserve, as well as the Basketong Reservoir and other nearby areas flooded during the construction of the Mercier Hydroelectric Dam in 1927. 8,000 square kilometers of land. This is a huge problem. And why do you get a say over what I do on my own lawfully owned land at this point? Why do you get a say? You have your reserves, which you are responsible for, and other people have their property that they are responsible for. Why do you get a say over what other people do with your land? Like, when my family came to Alberta, we owned a heck of a lot more land than we have now, but be through marriages and families and, so the original several sections of land gets all chopped up. I don't have a say over what happens to that land now, even though 5 generations on this property means that those might be considered my ancestral lands. But I not in no sane world would I think that I have the ability to tell the people in the acreage development up the road what they should get to do. When does this stop?
That's exactly where I was going. Where do you draw the line? Because the very next, or maybe it's 2 sentences after where you stopped, the First Nation says this area covered by the legal action represents only a fraction of its actual ancestral territory. And they say that they are owed essentially billions of dollars that have been taken from their lands with limited return to their community. So he's referring to some of the dams that were built and that they were never compensated for that. And this is a $5 billion lawsuit, and it apparently only covers a fraction of their supposed territory. I mean, yeah, that leads me to question, well, where do you draw the line on this?
Well, and this isn't done. Like,
No.
it's, if we scroll down since 2016, and again, I'm not sure we should fight this one. Um, the band also has a title claim over lands in Ontario, one that covers Parliament Hill, LeBreton Flats, as well as Chaudière, Albert, and Victoria Islands. That legal challenge targets Canada and the National Capital Commission, but not the province of Ontario, because most of that stuff is under the purview of the National Capital Commission, which is the government agency that deals with federally owned spaces. Um, I this and that case is winding through the courts. This Ontario Superior Court is expected to hear that case in 2028 after they've unsuccessfully attempted to settle it out of court. Those, I think they should have those. Just, you want Ottawa? Take it. Serious. It's not my problem no more.
Take Parliament Hill.
Take it all. But yeah, like at what point do your legally signed agreements, as is the case in ceded territories covered under treaty, why on the point of the treaty is to end your claim to other places. And now somebody else owns that land and you don't get to tell other people what they do on their land. Like, that'll be the damn day that somebody comes up to me and says, this, that, you know, I think this is my traditional land and therefore I don't want you farming it anymore. No,
Do
this is my traditional land.
Well, and do I get my property taxes back then if I don't,
Right.
if we never owned the land?
What am I paying
And
for?
yeah. Do I get those taxes back? Is someone going to purchase back the land from me that I purchased? Like, how does this all actually work? And I think that's why that ruling in British Columbia that came down recently has kind of paved the way for more of this and gave it merit and justification. However, that ruling, a lot of people don't realize, has been essentially paused for 18 months while they figure out the logistics of it all, because no one is really sure how this actually looks outside of on paper.
Right.
What does this actually mean? How do private property owners, like, what does that mean for them? And what does this mean moving forward? The judge almost like made this ruling and then skirted the
Right. And then
repercussions of
just
the
was like,
ruling.
here.
Yeah, and was like, figure
You
it
figured
out.
out.
You
Yeah.
have 18 months and hopefully that's enough time. Wish you well.
And also, this is the problem with land acknowledgements. Because
Mhm.
in the land acknowledgements, they say, we recognize that this is the traditional lands of the blah, 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 blah. Fill in wherever you are, what treaty you're on, 6 or 7 or whatever. Because this band in Quebec, and I guess potentially Ontario too, is saying, well, yeah, thanks. You said this was our traditional lands, so we want them.
Yeah. If land acknowledgements, for me, I say, well, if we don't own the land, then give it back. And if we're not going to give it back, then why are we acknowledging any of this?
Yeah.
And I think that Drea had a scrum just yesterday with the British Columbia Attorney General, and she very clearly asked how land acknowledgements play into now this legal action that we see forthcoming. And I wanted to share the clip of that response if we have it ready. She spoke with the mayor of Richmond, British Columbia, as well as the attorney general after they hosted a meeting for Richmond residents about what this ruling in BC means for them and their private ownership and land titles. And if we have the clip of the attorney general, I would love to show that with our viewers if they haven't seen it already. Yeah, here it is.
Ms. Sharma, the BC Conservatives say that the NDP was involved in making our government lawyers unable to argue against Aboriginal title extinguishment. What is your response to that claim?
Yeah, it's simply wrong. I would ask the Conservative leader what his position was in 2014 when he was in government and received the first claim that was filed in this matter, and what his arguments were when he was in government.
So, at the meantime, while all this legal proceeding going on, is there any help the provincial government?
I think
might be
it's
thinking to help out
maybe
with
about
the,
45 seconds after this. She comes back to Drea, and she asks the Attorney General about the land acknowledgements. I think keep going a little bit towards about 3/4 through the clip, I believe, is when it was. But anyway, that's Andrea's X. I think she posted that. We had a piece go up yesterday featuring it. Should be on our YouTube channel because there's also some interesting feedback from the mayor about what this means for the residents of Richmond, and people
Right.
who thought they had home ownership and land title are now being told, like, essentially you don't, but we're not really sure what that actually means for you. So stay tuned.
And like for me, I look at this and I'm like, well, who gets to decide? Because like I've been paying the taxes and my family's been here for 5 generations, and then somebody else will say, yeah, but those were the traditional hunting lands of whoever. Same. Same. Currently, yes, same. My grandpa, my great grandpa, me, my kids, also are traditional hunting lands. We've also cultivated it and turned it into something where we feed the world. And like, at what point, like, when does this end? Like, that's what I want to know is when does this end? For me, it feels like the tearing down of the statues, where we're just trying to like, oh, remember all that history that happened in between? Let's just get rid of it. Let's just put it over here and make sure that it counts for nothing. When does it end?
Forget progress. Where's the cavemen? Where are they? Because we all need to revert back to that ancestral way of living.
You know what though? I could do that. It's the people making these decisions that I don't think could do. So, like, you want to live off the land? Deal. Let's rumble. But it's the people making these decisions that they need people like me to feed them. Let's keep going because
right.
You wrote this one up, and I saw this in sort of the morning news scan, and I was like, oh, happy to hear this guy is still alive.
Yeah.
But
So Canada's fentanyl czar, the one who was setting out and having all the conversations after his appointment in February. Well, he's back. He's reared his head. He's back from hiding, and he's back to admit that the opioid crisis is actually bigger than what he thought, because he was basically on vacay for 10 years. So this, of course, was all brought to a head after Trump brought through executive orders and was shedding a light on the fact that Canada has a porous border. We had human trafficking passing back and through across the borders, and he made executive orders calling on this to end and threatening tariffs if it didn't. So all of the tariff war stuff, these talks, these negotiations, I keep reverting back to the fact that no one should be surprised any of this is happening, because Trump made it very clear from the beginning and from his campaigning last year that this would happen if Canada didn't take decisive action and concrete steps to curb any of it. So I'm just going to read you the lead here. Canada's fentanyl czar, Kevin Boisseau, has acknowledged that he severely underestimated the scale and devastation of the opioid crisis before taking up his new federal role as the fentanyl czar. And this is a revelation that many Canadians who've been living amid the fallout of this epidemic and the chaos, the crime, the disorder, they've become all too familiar with it. And Boisseau was a former RCMP deputy commissioner, and he admitted this during a keynote address in Toronto, I believe, just yesterday, hosted by the Association of Certified Anti-Money Laundering Specialists. It was first reported by the Globe and Mail, who obviously was there at the talk about understanding and implementing the new regulations conference. But Boisseau admitted that after nearly a decade away from frontline policing, this had left him unaware of the full scale of devastation that synthetic opioids have inflicted on communities across the country. So, I mean, why did we pull this guy out of hiding in the first place if he was unaware of the devastation that's plagued the streets for the last decade? And then pull him out of hiding, put him front and center as the fentanyl czar to try to posture ourselves as some sort of like tough on drug crisis country after Trump threatens these tariffs. And then he goes back into hiding for the better part of 7 months, 8 months. And all of a sudden he's like, oh yeah, I had a bunch of conversations and now I realize that the problem's as bad as all of you said it was. And we didn't take it seriously for, you know, in cases like British Columbia, 20 years they've been at this harm reduction, safe supply nonsense. And all you've seen is chaos and destruction descend into the streets since that time. So I'm glad he's back out, and it, in a way, it is reassuring and it's validating, right? That he said,
Right.
okay, this crisis is way worse than I thought it was, and we're
Maybe he should act like it's an emergency, though.
Yes.
Like
maybe we should tackle it.
like some 50,000 Canadians have been killed by opioids. I'm sure it's 10,000 higher than that at least. And I remember during the campaign, like when Trump said, fentanyl from Canada, big problem. We hate it. You need to deal with it. And the Liberals were like, it's your fentanyl. It's not our fentanyl. You guys are the drug traffickers, not us. Sort of like downplaying the carnage the fentanyl problem has caused in Canada and all the super labs, by the way. Like the super labs are producing more fentanyl than Canadian addicts can consume. Wonder where it's going. Wonder where it's going. And the fact that there are Chinese components being used in the fentanyl super labs. And the Liberals, I mean, not only did they deny the extent of the problem, but also the fentanyl peddlers, these potential murderers, really, because you know a fentanyl overdose is a death sentence. These people that peddle fentanyl and carfentanil, they're getting arrested and they're just getting let out on the streets. Our friend Andrew Lawton, who's now the MP for the Conservatives in London, like some 28 weeks ago, did a video about how fentanyl traffickers were just being let out. And so wouldn't it be great if now that this guy has spent many months under a rock studying the extent of the fentanyl problem, can we act like it's an emergency that's killing Canadians and causing a problem with our American friends? Like, could we act like it? No. I don't expect the Liberals to take it seriously. I really don't.
No, but it is in a way, as I say, validating for the many Canadians and even us here who have been doing reporting on this
I'm full of
topic.
like, told you so. I'm full of it.
It's like, all right, finally we have someone admitting, hey, this is actually a big problem, but I don't see anything in there about how they're planning to stop it.
No, not at all.
They've had conversations though.
They've been talking, which is important.
A lot of talking.
Lots of talking. Let's hit an ad break and then come back to the theft on the farms, because I remember when this hit the corn farm near Pinoca, and the culprits were caught on video. You guys put your guesses in the chat who you think the culprits are. Let's hit an ad break. We'll be right back.
You like the hat? Me too. Same strong message about making Canada great again, but in a really cool color, black and gold. There's other colors available, and it's an all-Canadian site. So if you want to signal your tribe or trigger a Liberal, go to mcgahats.ca today.
You finished a long run. You're hot. And thirsty. This is what we call a last resort. If your most recent electricity bill says the rate of last resort, then your rate is like the half-finished water bottle you noticed sitting on a bench. It will serve its purpose, but there are likely better options available.
Gun bans make great distractions.
Trudeau may be gone, but Carney has picked up his same rhetoric.
We will quickly, and I mean quickly, reinvigorate the buyback of
Hunters, collectors, competitors, and defenders of tradition are still being targeted. while criminals run wild under Liberal policy. But we are fighting back. Join us, Canada's National Firearms Association, in defense of freedom.
All right, we're back. Let's go into this. This headline is from the Toronto area, from CP24. At Pick Your Own farms across Ontario, farmers report surge in theft. Interesting. Wonder who could be the culprits. Farmers across Ontario are reporting a surge in thefts this year, costing some tens of thousands of dollars in lost revenue. The trend appears to have hit Pick Your Own farms the hardest, where customers have unsupervised access to products. Unfortunately, seeing customers put food in strollers and wagons, overfilling it, just trying to take as much as they can without paying for it. Theft is costing this one farm that they spoke to, Maple Grove Orchards, up to $20,000 this year alone. She described one particularly large bus where a customer had tried to hide upwards of 150 pounds of apples. What he actually attributed to the rising costs of groceries and legitimately poor people, or our descent into a low trust society thanks to out of control immigration from low trust societies. And the reason I speculate that is because we've seen images of people poaching fish in rivers without licenses, and they are from other parts of the world. You can fill in the blanks. And Efron, Olivia, we've got, I have this from a few months back near Ponoka, Alberta, beautiful Ponoka, Alberta, home of Canada's Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame, where I make my yearly pilgrimage to the rodeo there. Just at the side of the road, stealing corn.
And
Just
do they
stealing.
know if it's the thing for me when you want to steal corn is it cow corn or is it human corn? And do they know the difference?
Right. Is this ethanol corn? Is this like, we don't do a lot of finishing cattle on corn out here. But there's a lot of ethanol, biofuel corn. And in southern Alberta, this is central Alberta. In southern Alberta, I mean, it's home of Tabor corn. So that's people corn. This
Not right, not only from their clothing, but from a vehicle, the getaway car that they had. And so basically they're wearing like layers of pocketed clothes into stores where they're just shoving things in and into various crevices, pockets, and parts to steal anything and everything that they can. And so this is a reoccurring theme where you have people, dressed in baggy clothes or dressed a certain way, where they can start stuffing various items into their clothing, or, as mentioned in this article about Pick Your Own, into strollers and wagons. I mean, we've frequented many Pick Your Owns over the course of my lifetime, and especially my motherhood era. The worst offense that I can say we've ever engaged in is eating some of the Pick Your Own berries or,
Right.
an apple. And even that, I'm like, oh, should we tell them at the exit that we ate some berries or had an apple?
My kids would tell on themselves.
to thieve things and hide them under a diaper bag. I mean, that is just that is such despicable behavior.
Right. And I think it was Bowmanville where they were
I should go there.
illegally poaching fish out of the river.
Yes,
I put a
also,
couple of those.
There it is.
I have another video of it too. Good grief. There's another video, I think, people illegally net fishing in southern Ontario. So they were doing that by their hands. But look, they're net fishing.
Which also was a huge problem in Port Hope because we have the
Sure.
Ganaraska River, and it's a hot spot and really a travel it turns into a travel destination in the fall because of the salmon run. And the township has now had to take steps to ban people from fishing on the shores of this river, which they've done for arguably millennia, because of the inhumane, unethical way that people are just coming and literally netting. Or there was instances where people were just throwing hooks and hooking salmon and then dragging it out, taking what they wanted, and then leaving the guts on the side. So the smell became unbearable. And the
Well,
smell,
then you get predators too.
arguably,
They have black bears there. That's a good way to
no,
bait in
well,
some black bears.
no, but there's other, coyotes and things like this. But the smell was always bad just because, it's salmon and some of them do die along the way and then they, decompose. But the smell was becoming exponentially worse because of the unethical and inhumane way that the fishing, and I use quotes because that's not even fishing. That's just slaughtering, and then not even, and leaving fishing wire and hooks. And so the safety concerns also for the other fishermen and children and people coming to just watch the fish run, it's turned into a mess. We can't enjoy these things anymore because other people have ruined it for everyone else. And that's going to be the same case with the Pick Your Own. The farm says in that article, we may have to reconsider offering Pick Your Own, and we won't have that anymore. And Pick Your Own isn't just about getting fruits and vegetables for a little bit cheaper than you would. Exactly. It's the experience, and it's a family thing. And oftentimes it's a tradition that families do. In the fall you go apple picking and then you bake an apple pie. And having, the thought of having that taken away from you because people can't be honorable stand-up citizens, that's just so disheartening.
I didn't realize how much apple picking was a part of the culture of fall in other places.
Yes, it is.
Because we don't really have apples. Like we have crab apples, right? We don't really have apples. Like we just can't grow them here. But I didn't realize that it was like such a thing, like a family outing. Everybody gets in their Instagram outfits and then goes apple picking and has pictures. I had no idea. No idea.
Even going to it's not a Pick Your Own, but a pumpkin patch, and you gather up your pumpkins and you put them in a wagon. And so I imagine, and pumpkins can be expensive. We're a big family, and so you buy 5-7 pumpkins, you're looking at $50 to $100 depending on the size of the pumpkin that you're buying. And for people right now, that we're like rationing our pumpkins at this point.
Right.
But I'm thinking too that you head out to the pumpkin patch with a wagon, you have a diaper bag or a baby blanket. How many of these people are stashing a bunch of pumpkins? And again, that's $50 to $100, which makes a difference for these farmers. And so, there's lots of places, food banks are overrun and people are struggling, but welcome to Canada. Let's affect some change. Let's put pressure on the political class. You don't need to resort to stealing from small farmers. That is so gross.
I'll let you pick where we're going to go next.
Yeah. We have a couple things in the list here, but maybe just more on the crime and the chaos in Toronto and surrounding areas. We have this one article from also CP24 where a man, there he is, charged after several stalking incidents in Vaughan. Sheila, you are so much better at pronouncing things than I am. I don't even want to try his
I
last
actually
name.
Sometimes I just make it up and I get people writing to me.
Visibin
Velotam. If I had to guess, Sri Lankan. If I had to guess. 39-year-old Visibam Velotam was charged with 4 counts of harassment by repeatedly following another person,
including a teenager.
Yuck. 2 separate people. Yeah.
Well, he was accused of stalking several people, but then it says 2 people, and which included a teenager. So maybe some of the other suspicions just weren't credible enough to warrant actual charges. But it seems like this is kind of a pattern with this individual. And then he was attempting to talk to them, telling them if they looked familiar, asking them if they worked in Newmarket. And so the victim recognized
he followed one from school.
Yeah. She recognized him from a previous incident when he followed.
Grief.
And I say she, but of course the article doesn't is not gender specific. So maybe it is a man or a male.
Boy.
Who knows? And then another stalking related incident came to the York Regional Police, and they said that one occurred in a different area of Clark Avenue and Dufferin Street. So another youth reported being followed home from school by a male who asked if the victim worked in Newmarket and claimed to recognize them. And then they identified the suspect as this 39-year-old, charged him with 4 counts of harassment by repeatedly following another person. And they released this photo because they say that there could be other victims. So that's where the several comes in.
Oh, for sure, because he harassed the same person twice. Like you really got to be out there harassing pretty hard to catch the same victim twice. Yeah, I feel like these are pre-abductions that were caught.
Yeah, and you know, he has been charged, but is likely back out on the streets.
Allegedly, it's probably out right now.
Even if he's been charged, he's back out on the streets within, 8 to 12 hours at the most, I would say. Basically, by the time the police complete the paperwork to charge him, he's back out on the streets, thanks to our liberal justice system.
Let's go to this CBC story on the new hospital for inmates, where I imagine they're going to get all kinds of gender affirming care, if I had to guess. The cost estimate more than triples to $1.3 billion for a new federal inmate hospital. And this is just in New Brunswick. So don't think this is like near Kingston, where they hold a lot of prisoners. So the $400 million estimate for the center in New Brunswick was made public in 2021. So that ballooned real fast in just 4 years. The funding for the new project in New Brunswick was announced by the Treasury Board in 2024, but the higher amount has not been made public as Ottawa's in a bidding process with construction firms. Oh, it could be way more than what this is. The project survived Ottawa's expenditure review ahead of the November 4th budget, despite pressure to reduce spending at Correctional Service Canada. That's one of the places that I think we should spend money. More prisons for bad guys. The 155-bed center will offer mental and physical health care in French and English to men and women in the correctional system. It will be in a new building and will replace the outdated facility with a third of the capacity inside the Dorchester Pen.
So it's replacing an outdated facility, but with only a third of the capacity. That doesn't seem logical.
Yeah.
For more.
Well, here's the thing. Guess who? It's a Liberal riding, Beausejour, represented by Dominic LeBlanc. So
federal minister responsible for
federal riding.
Trade.
Yeah. Isn't that great?
So it'll house only a third of the people. It'll be millions to billions more than originally budgeted. What could possibly go wrong here? The only thing that I agree with in this entire situation is offering more mental health care, so they say, which I think we should be bringing back things like mental institutions. And it sounds like this may be a pivot to that without, they're not outright saying it, but it sounds like this is more of like a mental institution than a prison.
I wish,
corrections
but I feel
facility, maybe.
I feel like since the Liberals are in charge, it's going to be more like a
healing sweat lodge.
Yeah, a therapy room for your murderers and your molesters, as opposed to like padded rooms for your lunatics who should not be on the streets.
Right. Who are a danger not only to themselves, but contributing to the public safety concerns that are just ever increasing, it seems.
Right. And then they self-medicate on drugs.
Yeah.
Because they're not confined to care.
And then descend into even more aggressive psychosis, resulting in even more public safety concerns and dangers, not only to themselves, but others. There's a couple of people who are obviously suffering from debilitating mental health issues in Cobourg who are repeatedly seen like just running into traffic and
Yeah.
talking to people that aren't there. There's one gentleman who doesn't wear shoes or
Yeah.
socks, and he's been offered shoes and socks multiple times, refuses to wear them, won't take them. And it's like, we're coming into winter. What happens to someone like that who refuses help or care, won't wear the
Right.
shoes that are given and gifted to him, which he, from what I understand, is very thankful for.
Sure.
But for whatever reason, he's suffering from various afflictions, won't wear shoes. And, is this man going to lose his feet this winter when
Right.
he refuses assistance or to wear appropriate footwear? And how could that have possibly been prevented?
That ain't
This is
no
not
way to live.
compassion.
That's
It's
no
not
way to live.
compassion.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's nowhere for him to go, right? We don't have, you can form someone for, I think it's like a max of 72 hours. But if they ultimately want to leave and don't want to be subjected to forced medical care, then they have the right to do that. And then they're back out on the streets getting frostbite until they have no feet left. So none of this is compassionate care by any means. There are people who are suffering, who cannot take care of themselves, who are a danger not only to themselves, but others. And we don't have anywhere to put them or for them to go.
It's terrible. At least in Alberta, we're ramping up treatment beds. I can't
Yeah.
say the same about you guys.
But they call this humane, right?
Right,
They're like,
right.
oh, we can't have mental institutions because they're inhumane and unethical. And I say, well, look at the fallout of that. Is that so humane and ethical? Because I would say leaving someone to suffer to their own devices, getting frostbite so bad that they will probably lose their feet this coming winter, that doesn't seem very humane or ethical to me.
No. All right.
I digress.
Yeah. All right. What do we want to do next?
That's our daily dose. Oh, wait, I'll throw to this little daily dose of cringe from the World Health Organization. I retweeted this post. Maybe we can just play this video and throw to the original posting where they're introducing you to the World Health Organization's vaccinators of Afghanistan, dedicated health workers who are working tirelessly to stop the virus, and they're referring specifically to polio, and protect children today and apparently for generations to come. So it's a 38-second clip. We'll just play this one quickly.
مدت 6 سال می شود که اطفال را در مقابل مرض پولیو واکسین می کنم.
Sorry to our viewers who are listening but not reading.
با واکسین نمودن اطفال میخواهم به اطفال کمک نمایم تا در اثر ویروس پولیو فلج نشوند.
Basically, so without going through, because I forgot that it is a translated video, basically what the WHO is failing to speak on here is the fact that this oral polio vaccine that they're administering to these kids is actually the leading cause of polio in some of these countries, because it is a live version of the vaccine. The vaccine-induced polio strain is one of the leading strains now, thanks to their so-called efforts in places like Afghanistan. And so I just reposted, oh yes, the WHO playing their part in perpetuating vaccine strain polio. And I mean, they admit this. This goes back to 2016 when they switched from the they switched from the live virus vaccine they switched from the dead virus vaccine to that live oral polio virus vaccine again, and caused all these cases, which then spreads in the feces of these vaccinated children out into the community and actually causes
outbreaks.
Causes polio. It's crazy. And I have this National Geographic. I'm going to see if I can just pull it up. I know we're running against the hour. There's this National Geographic article. I wonder if they took it down, where this guy who was vaccinated with the oral polio vaccine carried and transmitted the live polio virus in his stool for, at the time, 18 years.
Oh my
He
gosh, he
had
was
some
like
sort of,
Typhoid Mary.
yeah, he had some sort of rare issue with his immune system that caused it to just proliferate and there's a word, harbor in his intestinal tract. And so he continued to excrete live polio virus in his feces for 18 years. And I think the article was from 2015 or 16, so arguably it's longer than that now. I can't seem to find it, but you know, that's the World Health Organization for you. Here we are claiming to be saving lives, and we're actually just spreading a different strain of the virus.
That clip is making my head swim.
Oh, here it is. It was
Go ahead.
it was 28 years.
Oh, okay, good.
And that was, right, just a little bit longer than I initially thought. And that was in, 2015, this article. A vaccinated man has been emitting virulent polio for 28 years.
Good grief.
This is the stuff that they're doing.
You know, and I should tell you, my auntie, my mom's older sister, had polio when she was very young, and she walked with a limp forever. So I'm not against polio vaccination. What I am against, though, is grabbing a child by its face with your bare hands and putting a live virus into its mouth.
Yeah.
Like, I just like, so this, like, look at his dirty fingers. Go.
Mm-hmm.
What am I looking at?
Super sterile.
Well, that's my problem with this. These are the people who are concerned with public health.
Yeah.
Like, what is that? Is that polio on her? No, that's not polio on her. I don't know what's on her finger there. But
right there, yeah.
But like, does that just say they're vaccinated? Maybe it does. I don't know. But like grabbing a kid by its face with your ungloved fingers and then just putting a live virus in the kid's mouth.
Mm-hmm. There's actually a fair amount of information you can find, and I believe it's specific to children because they wouldn't want them to receive these things.
I've got a daily cringe. I just saw it out of the corner of my eye. I'm gonna put it. Just came out of the House of Commons. I'm gonna put it in the thread, Efron. It's Liberals losing it. I could do an entire segment every day on Liberals losing it.
We should. That's a new show.
Yeah, yesterday it was Sean Casey. Instead of asking veterans who'd come to committee questions with his 7 minutes, he lectured them and gaslit them and didn't ask them any questions. This is from Alberta Conservative MP Chris Warkentin. And he says, tough guy, Liberal MP James Maloney starts making threats to other MPs. For 10 years, he's been voting to release violent criminals back into our communities on bail, and then crime has skyrocketed. Let's see his threats. He looks like he's slightly unhinged. Let's watch it together. His face is real red.
In here or out in the hallway and tell me I don't care about the safety of my community and my residents in Etobicoke Lakeshore. Let's go outside and do it right now because it's absolutely false, and you know it's false. Look me in the face.
Is he threatening to fight people? Let's take it outside?
Look me in my face.
And then he said, let's go outside. Tell it to me outside. Well, what does that mean? Like, now, it's one thing to say, like, sometimes they say, let's take it outside of the house because in the house they have privilege. So if you know they're lying, if you go outside the house and you repeat the lie, well, then you've defamed the person and you're subject to legal sanctions. But that's not what he's talking about here. Tell me I don't care about my community. Let's go outside and deal with it. Let's go by the dumpster after math class. Like, what are you doing? You're a parliamentarian. You make a couple $100,000 a year. Get your emotions in check.
Yeah, if not, seek some therapy because you probably have benefits to cover it somewhere.
Right, maybe you can go to that nice new hospital they're building for criminals.
With their mental health supports.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I think that's it.
Yeah.
We had one chat from yesterday, and I'm just going to dig that up. We didn't read it yesterday, so I'll read it. It is from Nidotem8888. No, sorry, that's not it. Is it on someone offered to build us a Discord channel and I never got around to reading it. Is it from Tuesday maybe? Yes. It's Aviator Lock-in. Gives us 35 I forget what it's called. South African Rand, ZORs. At 35, I think that's about $3 Canadian. Hey, I'd like to make the Rebel News a Discord server. Who can I contact to do this? I have no idea. I don't even know what a Discord does.
Great
Sorry.
question.
But now it's in the ether and other people at the company have heard it. So that's the best that I can do for you. I think that's it. Unless, Efron, we have any chats? Oh, Olivia, sorry. Thank you. Welcome back, Olivia. I think that's it. Let's wrap
All
it
right.
up.
Well, thanks everybody for joining us in this wonderful Thursday. Same time and place tomorrow for spooky Halloween. You know, just ahead of tomorrow's live stream, I want to ask our viewers, what is the scariest thing about Canada or wherever you are right now in 2025? Ahead of Halloween, answer that tomorrow. Give them some super chats or reach out. Let us know what's the scariest thing for you in Canada or wherever you are
that
right
I'm still
now.
in it.
Yeah. So Mark Carney's the prime minister.
Yeah.
For now. I don't know. I hear all these rumblings of an election, so we'll see. But
I don't think it's me on the stream tomorrow, so you guys won't get to see me in my pickle costume.
Right. It'll be the round, not a round table, but
yeah, it's the panel tomorrow.
The panel, thank you. So join us there for Halloween Spooktacular panel from 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern. Thanks everybody for getting this stream up, all the links and things available. Thanks, Sheila, for always being reliable in your hosting efforts for the stream. I feel like that goes unsaid a lot of the time. And for everybody out there watching us, thanks for your support. Stay sane and question everything.
Big news, Rebel News now has premium memberships on X, Locals, and right here on YouTube. For just $4.99 a month on YouTube, you'll get loyalty badges, custom emojis, and access to members-only chats during our live streams. At $8.99 a month, you'll also unlock Rebel News Plus shows and our documentaries. But here's the catch. YouTube could cancel that premium tier at any time. That's why the best way to support us is at rebelnewsplus.com. It's just $8 a month, cheaper if you go annual, and you'll get exclusive extras like an ad-free site, comments access, and even the chance to submit op-eds. Wherever you join us, thanks for keeping our independent